Good morning, students. I hope you have completed your test papers and you have done it well. Let's get back to our lessons. Open your textbook, Beehive English textbook. Turn to the page number 68, lesson number 6, My Childhood. Before I forget, I hope by now you have completed 5 chapters. That means 5 prose and 5 poems. That means 10 chapters, questions, answers, and you all are learning. Okay. Today we shall begin the lesson on my childhood. It's a biography of APJ Abdul Kalam. Biography means about oneself. He is writing his own life. Okay. You see here, Abdul Kalam's biography titled Wings of Fire. Wings of Fire is a book name we have in our library as well. And the chapter in this book, there is one chapter, My Childhood. It talks about the childhood of APJ Abdul Kalam. And he was the President of India, you know it, and a great scientist too, both. First he was scientist, of course, and then he became a president. He talks about in this book, My Childhood. Actually, book's name is Wings of Fire. In that comes My Childhood. He talks about his upbringing. Upbringing means how he was brought up, about his parents and his siblings. Siblings means his brothers and sisters. He tells us about his friends and all those things that influenced his childhood. He was born into a middle class Tamil family. Middle class means they were neither rich nor poor. They could manage. Okay. And his place of birth is Rameshwaram, is an island town in the state of Tamil Nadu in the Bay of Bengal. Today we know this state as Tamil Nadu, but when he was born, at that time, the state was known as Madras state. His father, Jainul Abdin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. What is innate wisdom means? Though he did not have formal education, he did not go like you all, daily going to the school. How much he studied, we do not know. He did not have much qualification, but he had lot of wisdom. It's not necessary that only those who are studying, those who have the high degree, they will be intelligent people and wise people. No, not true. Even those who have not gone to school, they can be wise, they can be intelligent, and therefore we should not think that I am studying much better or I am, that means I am the clever ones, or I am having more wisdom than the other. You should never think. You see here the picture of his parents, how simple they are, yet they are very generous. Generous means they are ready to share whatever they had. Okay, this is called generosity of spirit. Open your book now to page number 68. Take the pencil with you. Yes, look there. Can you think of any scientists who have also been statesmen? You see, statesmen here means all those who have been in the politics, let's say. That's called statesmen. There are many, and we know first is Abdul Kalam. He was a scientist and then he was a politician. So he joined politics. He was a president. There are number of scientists who had been also a statesman. Another one is our Indian scientist, again Homi Bhabha. He was also a statesman as well as a scientist. We have also M.G.K. Menon, also Albert Einstein, whose chapter just recently we have completed, 5th chapter, I suppose. Yes, I think it is 5th chapter, yes, about Albert Einstein. He was a scientist and he also took interest in politics. Something good for the country they also want to contribute, not only in the field of science, but also in the politics. You see, second point, APJ Abdul Kalam, whose projects in space, defense and nuclear technology guided India into a 21st century, became our 11th president in 2002. In his autobiography, Wings of Fire, I told you already, Wings of Fire is a book name. He speaks of his childhood, and this is what we are going to learn about his childhood. First paragraph, follow the book. I was born into a middle class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras state. My father, Jainul had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. He had an ideal helpmate in my mother, Ashiamma. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. In the introduction already I told you he was born in a middle class Tamil family in a island town of Rameshwaram, that is in the erstwhile Madras. Erstwhile means former. Earlier it was known as Madras. Today it is no more. It is a Tamil Nadu, state is Tamil Nadu, and even Madras is known as Chennai today. And the father was Jainul and mother's name was, what was it? Ashiamma. Didn't have much formal education, neither much wealth, but then great innate wisdom, inborn. Something was inborn wisdom, very wise, as well as true generosity of spirit, ready to share, generous with others. Okay, an ideal helpmate. Helpmate here means his wife. Ashiamma, and you see about the mother. He is telling, I cannot recall exact number of people she fed every day. That means imagine every day she was cooking extra. Even he says, you see, she was feeding more outsiders than all the members of her own family put together. That much generosity of spirit. Okay. Second paragraph. I was one of many children. A short boy with rather undistinguished looks, born to tall and handsome parents. We lived in our ancestral house, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large pakka house made of limestone and brick on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. My austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine, or clothes. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. You see what he is telling. There were many children. He was not the only child or only son. Okay, and then you see what happened. He was very short, and he praises his parents. You see, tall and handsome parents. You saw in the picture how tall and handsome parents. I'm telling, I was undistinguished looks. Undistinguished look means nothing very impressive. All of you have seen his appearance as a president, how he looks. He was not a handsome looking man, And where did they live? They lived in the ancestral house. Ancestral means his forefathers, his grandparents, those who have built this house in the middle of 19th century. But then you see his grandparents or great grandparents had built this house, but it was fairly large pakka house. Even those days it was a pakka house. It was a concrete house made of limestone and brick. And where it was? In the Mosque Street in Rameswaram. Name of the street where they were staying is the Mosque Street. An austere father. Austere means very simple and very strict. Not extravagant, did not want to spend lavishly. He avoided all inessential comforts and luxuries. Inessential, which is not essential, is not important. He will not spend on that, and no comfortable living and no luxurious life. Clear? One is need and one is luxury. Clear? It is a need that you need a proper house to stay, proper clothes to wear, proper food to eat. It's a need. And when it becomes luxurious, you want to eat, let's say in the 5-star hotels. Always you want food from out. You want to go and stay in the big hotels. These are called luxuries. Or you want, if one bike is there, you want car, and then even that much income is not there, but because you want to compete with others, you want to get more and more better than the other. That's called luxurious life. Okay. His father was an austere man, very simple man. However, though he was an austere man, all necessities were provided. That means they did not lack anything in terms of food or medicine or clothes. I told these are essential things, no? Essential, inessential. Whatever was essential, he was providing, but not inessential. Opposite of essential, okay? Necessity and not necessary. Food, medicine and clothes, these are necessary. And he's telling his childhood was a secure childhood. Both in terms of materially and emotionally. A lot of love he got. Emotionally here means love, concern, care and the comfort that he got. Both materially as well as emotionally. Did not lack anything. Clear? Third paragraph. The Second World War broke out in 1939 and when did it end? Anybody knows? Before I will tell the answer, since it is I mean we are not together and so I cannot pause much, but then the Second World War broke out in 1939 and it ended in 1946. And that time when I was 8 years old, a small boy, for reasons I have never been able to understand, a sudden demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. You see what happened during the Second World War. He's telling, I don't know what was the reason, but then those days, the sudden demand for tamarind seed, what is tamarind seed? It is imli you are calling, okay? That seed erupted, it came up. There was so much demand. People were buying these tamarind seeds. Probably what I think is that was the cheapest thing they would take and boil and eat, because during Second World War, they were not getting anything. It was not available. Many things were not available. Probably that is the reason the need for tamarind seeds were very much in demand in the market. I used to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop on Mosque Street where they were staying. You would collect, go to the village, in the fields, collect it and selling. A day's collection would fetch me the princely sum of 1 anna. Princely sum means, okay, some amount of 1 anna is an old Indian coin worth about 6 paise. Okay, 1 anna, and that was very happy naturally for a 8-year-old child to get 1 anna also was a very something very exciting. My brother-in-law Jalaluddin would tell me stories about the war, which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dinamani. Dinamani is a newspaper name. Okay, so who would tell about the war? His brother-in-law Jalaluddin. Our area being isolated, which area is talking about? The Mosque Street. It was isolated, that means not a crowded place, was completely unaffected by the war. Naturally, in the villages it is a war and all these are not affected much, so it was not affected. But soon India was forced to join the Allied forces and something like a state of emergency was declared. During this time in the history, if you remember, the Allied forces means, all the countries were divided into two parts, and rest of the countries have to join to support any of the countries, that is America and Russia, whichever one. And India also was forced to join, and you see here Allied forces, the armies of UK, USA and Russia during the Second World War, and India also was forced to join. And now this time what happened? The first casualty came in the form of suspension of the train halt at Rameshwaram station. So far there was no effect, he is telling, in the village, in the Rameshwaram, but then the first effect came was the suspension. That means the train halt that was there, railway station at Rameshwaram, now it was suspended. There was no stoppage of train there. I hope you have understood about the Allied forces. India was forced to join the Allied. Any of this country, either USA or UK, was supposed to join. But then you remember India those days was ruled by whom? By the England. Okay, Britishers. And naturally at that time, Britishers were in support of USA. And so India also was supposed to join USA. And that's why the state of emergency was declared. And first casualty, the first effect came of the Second World War was suspension of the train halt. No more train will not stop at Rameshwaram. The newspapers now had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Dhanuskodi. The last page you have the magazine, you have the map there, you can see where Rameshwaram and Dhanuskodi. That forced my cousin Samsuddin, who distributed newspapers in Rameshwaram, to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles, and as if naturally I filled the slot. Samsuddin helped me on my first wages. Half a century later, I can still feel the surge of pride in earning my own money for the first time. It's quite natural. I hope you have understood. It is very easy. You see, he had a cousin, Samsuddin by name, and he was distributing newspapers in Rameswaram. Now in Rameswaram, now train is not stopping there. Newspaper has to come by train, and so what he did, he was looking for somebody to help him, and now it was naturally he filled the slot, or he filled the gap. You see, this boy was a small enough and not so small, 8 years, and so what he did, he would stand at the near the railway station, and his cousin would be in the train, and he would just throw the bundle out of the moving train, and this boy has to catch or collect it, of course, later on as the train passed, and then he would distribute the newspaper to the people. And that was the first wage. you know now you are not understanding. Now you are asking money from your parents for anything. People, they say, those who are working, they say the happiest moment in life is the first salary when they get, after so many years of studies and training and all this, when the first time, the first salary, after the end of first month you get the salary, no one can explain that happiness. Same thing might have happened to Abdul Kalam. There was a surge of pride. He was really too much filled, surge of pride, filled with pride, because he has earned money for the first time, first salary, let us say, first wages. Of course, he was selling tamarind and he got, that means he got and he got, but this is the wage he got, okay, salary he got. So it was a very happy moment for him. We will continue tomorrow. Read up to here and learn the difficult words what I told. And in your book it is already there. What is the meaning of austere? What is innate? What is, let's say, and allied forces? All these things you read. Okay, and come tomorrow. Thank you, students. Have a nice day.